everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Mission Snapshot. It is so good to see you again. It's been a while since I've been on, and I know that you've been taken care of with Hannah and with Veronica. Today, we don't have anyone who's monitoring our social media because we have a special program today, and I want to introduce you to John Ramirez.
Hi.
You may not know who he is, but John has worked for Jesus for Asia for two years?
No, almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years?
Almost 3 years.
And he's usually the one who is outside of our little studio here,
Yep.
running all of the Mission Snapshot
Yep.
activities that you see. But today he's now in front of the camera
Yeah,
because
because I am going to Guam.
you are leaving Jesus for Asia, and you're leaving on a plane on Thursday. Yep, you are. And so we wanted to do a mission snapshot with you because I wanted folks to be able to hear your journey. And so before you came to Jesus for Asia, where were you?
I was actually working
At 3ABN. I was with the Latino department.
Oh,
I worked there for, I believe, a year and a half before I got laid off. I was working as a video editor there, so yeah.
so that must have been a little shocking or a little unnerving to
It was, yeah,
be
but
laid off.
yeah, but I was praying. It was time. It felt like my spirituality was, being drained. I have a lot of friends over there, which I missed, but if God calls you somewhere, you
That's
have to
right.
go.
That's right.
And so after being laid off, I actually got a call that I was not expecting from John Wood from Jesus for Asia.
Wow. So how did you get connected with John Wood?
Funny story. One of my coworkers at 3ABN, named Luis Capote, he was actually a friend of mine that used to do editing with me over there. And from what he told me, he said that he was just like making fun of John in order for me to get the job. He was actually pressuring John. He's like, hey, this guy's really good. This guy's really good.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and so he finally gave me a call, and I was just blessed. I was just like, I was not expecting this, but I was praying for something to
Right.
happen. And so far, that's how it's been. Like, I have not actually sent my resumes before getting the job. It was
Wow.
mostly getting the job before sending anything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you moved from Southern Illinois to Tennessee.
Yep.
And you have been, what has your job been here at Jesus for Asia?
Similar job description as 3ABN, a video editor most of the time, but I've been doing graphic design as well as other things, multitask, producing, you name it, anything that I could do. I mean,
Right.
God gave me the skills, and I kind of want to use all of it. So
Right. So for those of you who watch the Jesus for Asia Now show on 3ABN, John here is the one who does the first bulk editing of every show.
Yes.
So we have a photo here of what John's computer screen looks like. And
Yeah.
this is kind of, if I'm remembering what you were telling me correctly, this is just a small portion of the show. Could you let our viewers know what they're looking at?
Yeah, so here in this picture, you can see on your left panel, there's a bunch of the footage, and in the middle, you can see all the different camera setup. And then on the bottom, you can see some of the edits that I do, and that's just a portion of it. That's kind of like the intro to everything. But if we
Right.
go to the next slide, that's how it looks like done. So you can see those little lines on every single part. Those are cuts and things and little tiny pieces. Yeah, it's a lot of work. But once you finish the editing and then you put all the parts together, it just comes nicely and everything packed. But yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's mostly time consuming.
So it's an understatement to say that you have watched every episode of Jesus for Asia Now.
Yes. I've seen all of it. I've felt all of it. I see all the back stuff, the
Right.
backstage stuff, the funny little things that they do, the mistakes. Everybody's human, so we all
Right.
make mistakes. But yeah, professionally edited and stuff like that to send it to 3ABN.
Right. So as you were doing the editing for these shows, you have to listen to the content because it's
Yes.
not just a matter
Yes.
of doing sound or lighting or even just the video. You're
Correct.
listening to the messages.
Correct.
So as you were listening to these messages, what began to happen to you?
When when the first couple messages I've been listening to on JFA, I was actually shocked to find out that the world has not completely been reached. I found out that over 41% of the world has been unreached, and we're including like most denominations, or even including all denominations that have not
Right.
yet been reached with the gospel.
Right.
And that just shook me on a level where, like, so what are we doing now? Like, what's going on? Like, why are we not doing the work we're supposed to? Are we just waiting for Christ to come and expect him to be like, yeah, I did all the work for you, you know?
Yeah.
he gave us a work to do, you know, before
Right.
he left, and he said, you know, preach the gospel to the whole world
Yeah.
before I can come again, really.
So this graphic is taken from the Jesus for Asia website. And what this graphic shows are a lot of red dots in the photo
Yes,
above,
yes.
and each of those red dots represents a people group.
Group,
Not a
correct.
town, not a state, but a people group that has been unreached. And this information, I believe, came from joshuaproject.net. And I know that a lot of people ask why it's Jesus for Asia.
Correct, yeah.
And according to this graphic, 57% of the world's population lives
Yes.
in Asia. So it's a very densely populated area of the
Yeah.
world. And then 90% of the unreached people groups are in Asia.
Correct.
And so this is why the focus of Jesus for Asia. And then I just want to throw in this last data point from the website that says of all the Christian giving, 92% goes to those who already speak English.
Correct.
And so you heard, because John talks about this a
Yes,
lot as he's
yes.
trying to let people know that even though we may hear in churches that the work is just about done, the Adventist has Adventists have a foot in every country, and all we're doing is waiting for Jesus to tidy up
Yes.
some things in heaven and he'll be
Yeah.
back. That's not the message that you were hearing or the evidence you were
Correct.
seeing
Yes.
when you were working through the Jesus for Asia Now shows.
Yes, correct. Actually, when I was just reading the statistics, and I just keep finding more and more evidence that there was just not many people know about it.
Right.
Like when I went my trip to India, I actually got blessed that amazingly. But when I went to India on an India trip with JFA, I found out that when I was talking to the locals, to the Indian people that was selling some fruits, I just asked the normal question, do you know who Jesus is? Just to see their reaction. And the first thing that they think of is just a person. They're actually looking for a person, for a friend, or for a connection to know if this Jesus person is the one that I'm looking for.
Right.
But it didn't come to them as a religion point
Right.
of view. It was more like a relationship kind of point of view.
Like someone who is alive today that might
Correct.
be in a block over
Exactly.
that you're trying to
exactly.
find him.
Yeah. And so that's what actually shocked me to see, like, okay, so this is real. Not many people know about Jesus. Not many people know about the gospel.
Right.
And even if they have access, they don't even know how to look for it.
Right.
Because over there, they barely have TVs, and I mean, cable over there is completely different from what we have. So.
Yeah, they don't have cable per se, or they may in the bigger cities, but
Correct.
they usually have satellite.
Correct.
That
And
they-
even if
yeah.
they do, their English is not their first language.
Right.
And
So
it's,
watching
you know,
a show in English isn't going to help them understand about Jesus and who Jesus is. And so this was a trip that you took this past January.
Yes.
So this is all new
fresh,
for you,
yes,
fresh
it's
for
all
you.
fresh, yeah.
Yeah.
The smells,
Yeah.
everything.
Right.
The way they live, the culture, their religion is based in their life. Like, it's the way that they live their entire lives. Like, if you're not, if you leave your culture, if you leave being like
A Hindu.
you completely abandon. You're almost like completely like an outcast if you choose
Right.
to serve
Right,
God or
right.
a different kind of God.
Right.
And they have many gods, many gods.
Many gods. Now,
Yeah.
we've said this before on Mission Snapshot, but I think it's worth repeating here, is that in the United States, we're very individualistic.
Yes.
And so if we choose to do something that may be not in alignment with our family, then oh well, because this is our life, this is what we choose, and we're going to do this even if my family and friends don't agree and whatnot. But in Asian cultures, in the Eastern cultures, they are very group-minded.
That's correct, yeah.
Very group-minded.
Yes.
And so leaving a group that you have been with all your life, who all your ancestors are with, that is something entirely different.
Correct.
And they will shun you.
Yes.
We know a lot of people who have been beaten up by their families for leaving, killed by their families for leaving. So it's a bigger step, and it helps to have a person telling them, so that they have a friend to walk toward as they're leaving.
Yes.
Right. So you're listening to all this. You're seeing in India, and what's burning inside your heart?
I just need to get the message out. I just need to, I need to tell them about Jesus. I mean, like once you, it's not much about like knowing about Jesus. It's about that the way they respond to the message is completely different. Not only will be filled by the Holy Spirit guiding them to understand what this is, but it also helps me to see that, you know, God loves his people.
Yeah.
And these people are so willing to understand. They're so thirsty.
Right.
Like compared to here, I've done canvas work, and most of the times I've been declined more than like, you know, than granted. But over there, it's just so interesting to see their, the way that they just come like, I want to know more. Like, this is so interesting. I never heard of a God like this, a God that wants to have a relationship with you and that actually cares about you and will not leave you no matter what you do, no matter the circumstances.
Right.
And their faith. Oh my goodness, that's the first thing that actually like shook my faith. Like, when I'm here, you know, I pray for things, and sometimes it's like, oh, thank you for this tiny miracle, Lord. But, you know, we kind of want more of that. We want to see the miracles that we've seen, you know, in the Gospels, like, you know, Moses or things like that, the disciples that God had. But over there, we can still see those miracles.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just blind not to be able to see them. But when you do the work, it's not only a blessing for them, but it's also a blessing for yourself, because it also increases your faith with God as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so I know last year you were ready to go.
Yeah.
You were really ready to go, and we have here a picture of what country?
Oh yeah, Mongolia. Yeah. I was gonna be a different kind of climate.
Yeah.
Especially like I'm an island boy. I lived in Puerto Rico for like 21 years plus maybe, and it's just been nice temperatures over there. Coming here, it's a little bit colder than usual, but Mongolia is a different story.
Yeah, so you were bracing. It's like you were weighing the cost between freezing to death for the majority of the year and sharing the gospel.
Yes.
And you were still willing to go.
Correct.
You were willing to go.
Yeah.
But that did not work out.
That did not happen. After we were praying for Mongolia to be the first mission place that we were going to go. But mission place always starts with the family. Yeah. So I'm married, and that's, you know, it has to be focused on the family too. So you can't just be mission minded and forget about your family.
Right.
It's always a balance. That's important. But when I found out about Mongolia, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like I never thought that this was gonna happen before. You know, like I was called, like God answered my prayer.
Right.
But then COVID-19 hit.
Yeah.
And it kind of, you know, broke down some things. It kind of delayed some things, and so that didn't go so well. And we had to,
because the school, you were going to go to a school in Mongolia, but they had to close because of COVID.
Yeah, they actually were going to start building the academy, if I'm correct, and they couldn't because obviously of COVID, so they couldn't finish it before.
So I know that was a disappointment for you.
It was. It kind of like also like I kind of backslide after that. Cause it's like, you told me to go here, but now I'm kind of stuck here. It's not like I don't want to be here. It's just that I feel like I've learned enough and I need to go somewhere else.
Right. You need to go.
But yeah, I kept praying though. Sometimes it's hard. It's not an easy journey.
Right.
But if you keep if you keep your relationship with God, the first thing that you need to do, just focus with that relationship with Jesus, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
It will take time, and patience is kind of like, one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
But Jesus will always answer that prayer for you.
So you kept praying, and you kept praying.
Yes.
And then
Guam
happened, which I find that it's not, I don't have this picture here, but it's not that far from Mongolia,
Correct.
relatively speaking, compared to the United
Correct.
States.
Yes.
But it's a lot warmer.
Yes, it's kind of similar. I found out that it's 17 times smaller than Puerto Rico, which I'm kind of like, okay. I mean, I lived in an island, but that's kind of smaller than I would probably preferably want.
Right.
But if God sends you somewhere, again, you just have to take it.
You just have to go.
Yeah.
So what will you and your wife Kimberly be doing?
Yeah, we'll be actually going to the Guam Adventist Academy.
Okay.
My wife is going to be teaching some different subjects, and it's funny because she studied as an English major, but it wasn't exactly
English,
that.
right?
But she still wanted to go because not only did she feel that it was God's calling, but also because they were willing to support us in a way that we can pay our debts as well, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and also I was praying that, again, that God will take us to a place, and it was just amazing the way that it happened. We didn't look for it. It came to us.
Yeah.
That's how God has always worked in my life. Knowing that how God works in my life, I told Kimberly, hey, this is God.
So while Kimberly's teaching,
yeah,
you're going to have some duties there as
correct.
well.
Yes. So my duties will be probably IT. It's not, it's not like set on a stone kind of thing. We're still talking about it, but I'm willing to do anything. I'm probably going to be like doing IT, teaching IT, probably teaching PE. It's not sort of my focus area, but hey, again, you got to be willing to do anything, and that will be great for my skills too. I mean, the more I can get, the better.
I know this will sound funny unless you've actually been in the mission field, but the fact that you're not doing what you're used to doing, normally doing, that's a sign that God's calling you, because he usually picks you up and puts you somewhere where...
That's true.
Right.
That's so true. It's always something either that you kind of know how to do,
right,
or have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I'm reminded of Gabe Bonds, who's actually in your spot right now.
Yeah, taking all the training. Yeah,
working with all of this, and he's feeling exactly the same way.
You're doing
a good job, Gabe.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah. And so, like we said at the beginning of the show, you're leaving Thursday?
Yes.
This Thursday,
yeah.
And how long is your travel flight? So, how long will you be traveling?
I believe there's 3 flights, one from here to San Francisco, I believe, and another one to Honolulu, and another one to Guam. The first 2 flights were going to be about 5 hours, and the last one's going to be 7 hours, which is actually better than 12, 13, 14 hours. I mean, one stop. Yeah, that was gonna be a hassle.
Yeah, it's hard going to India.
Yeah, and with the COVID-19 situation, they're not providing food, so I just asked for a lot of prayer because we're preparing the food and stuff like that, but I still don't know what the rules are and if they're gonna let us do that. So yeah, financially it's gonna be rough for us, but Guam is willing to provide a lot for us. So we think that
God's not going to take you to Guam and let you starve.
Exactly. Yeah. Why worry about this thing? I mean, these things. There's a verse about like the birds of the sky.
Yeah.
God can take care of them. Why don't you think He'll take care of you? So,
right. Yeah. So for those who may not be familiar with Guam Adventist Academy, I found out that they started in 1949. So this has been a 71 year, I had to count. 71 years this academy has been there, and so I know how you are with young people. So I know you're going to have a good time, and I'm so thankful that you're going. We're going to miss you. we're going to miss having you here and all that you bring to Jesus for Asia. But we know that God has called you.
Yes.
There's no question.
no question
No
about
question
that,
to
yeah.
that. And we know that He has plans for you
Amen.
and Kimberly,
Amen.
and that souls will be in the kingdom as a result, and that's what
Amen.
makes it great.
Yeah, amen.
So anything you'd like to say to everybody as you're leaving?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is just reconnect that relationship with Jesus. I know sometimes we can be very busy and sometimes we can be very like distracted, especially in this world. I mean, a lot of things are going on, COVID, riots. There's so much in the world going on. And I feel like, our time is coming to a close, like earlier than ever. But I just wish that if you have the time, just pray. A lot of people will tell you, like, read the Bible, but I will recommend you to pray first. Prayer is so important. Then will come the word, and then will come that relationship with Christ is so, so important. And a lot of us, again, get so distracted, but I can guarantee you, if you do that first, everything else will come to place.
So do you recommend anyone who might be listening and hearing God's call for them to go?
Yeah. If you don't have any money, I didn't have any money when I came here too. So I was just like, okay, what should I do? God, like, are you going to provide for me? There's always someone willing to do help for you. You just got to ask God, and don't worry about it. I have friends, like, for example, Jim Castor. He has no income, no money. He prays, and someone always gives back. And that's just how we should be. That connection with God is always important because He will know what you need.
Right. And God and money for God is no problem.
Yep.
It's the hearts of people.
Correct.
That's what He's longing for.
Exactly.
So if you have been hearing God calling you, we suggest that you listen to that call and go.
Amen.
And He can take care of everything else that's in between. Well, thank you, John, again.
Thank you.
For being here today and for all that you've done at Jesus for Asia. And I would like to invite our viewers that even though John is not going with Jesus for Asia, but if you would like to learn more about Jesus for Asia and the projects that we have, if they're Bible workers or evening schools or widows schools or clinics, please go to jesusforasia.org and check out all of the projects that we have. And if this is your first time joining us and you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you're alerted when new videos are posted. If you're watching this on Facebook, please go ahead and like our page so that you will get also the notifications of when we're going to do our next live. So we thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day. This has been your Mission Snapshot.